Greetings, welcome back to Black Bear News, where we are discussing climate change, abrupt climate change, and things adjacent. It is St. Patrick's Day. I don't know if anybody cares. I'm not a big celebrator of St. Patrick's Day. I don't drink, for one thing, so I just kind of watch everybody else stumble around and have a good time, and if that's a good time for you, then awesome. Have one for me. I suppose I'm in the spirit, though, wearing some plaid with some green in it. If there's anything more Irish, I don't know, plaid and green. Can't get much more Irish than that. So many things happening, many things to talk about, and very little time to do so. So there's the flooding situation in Nebraska is ongoing. I'm going to link an article that was updated yesterday. Nebraska is grappling with the worst flooding the state has seen in half a century. Nebraska Emergency Management Agency tweeted that emergencies had been declared in 53 counties, 41 cities, and one tribal area as of Friday night. So people still trying to dig out from the weather, the bomb cyclone in Nebraska. And then directly across the world in Zimbabwe and Mozambique, Cyclone Idai, or Idai. Many dead in Zimbabwe and Mozambique. This is from yesterday, a tropical storm. And thank you, Tim. Tim sent this to me. Tropical storm has swept away bridges and homes in eastern Zimbabwe, killing at least 24 people, officials say. Cyclone Idai cut off power and communications in parts of Manicaland province on the border with Mozambique. Some 40 people are missing. People fled their homes to the slopes of mountains and were waiting to be rescued, but strong winds have hampered helicopter flights in Mozambique, where Idai made landfall on Thursday. At least 19 people died. Flooding across the rest of the country had already killed nearly 70 people before the storm's arrival. Zimbabwe's information ministry said the town of Chimanimani, had been cut off. Sorry, I had to read that a couple times. Had been cut off from the rest of Manicaland province. This country's national army was leading the rescue efforts. I'm going to link this below, and y'all can check that out. Extreme weather, a product of climate change, is happening all around us. If you want proof that climate change is happening, just observe the rapid increase in extreme climate events. So somebody sent me a link to a guy named Paul Hawken, who's talking about Drawdown. I guess he has a book called Drawdown, which I have not read. I've been just kind of watching a few videos from him. I'm going to link this longer video by him. And he says he and his team are the first to ever propose an actual plan to draw down, to mitigate or fight climate change, or draw down the economy, or draw down what we're doing. Which, whether you want to debate that or not, I would actually probably agree. I mean, I've been talking about on this channel since I started this channel that, everybody's talking about the problem, but not a lot of people are talking about the solution. And even people who are deep into the problem are saying there are no solutions, so just forget it. Which which is debatable, I think. And it's fine if you believe that there are no solutions, and I'm not mad at you. I understand. So it's interesting though, because this guy Paul Hawken does bring up the point. He is coming from a place of understanding how bad the scenario is. He's not like, we're fine and linear change and we're gonna see a 1°C increase in temperature in 2050. Like, he's not on that track. He understands how bad it is, and he brings up the question. He does address the question of, is it too late, or the idea that we're in a bad place. So he's coming from reality in the sense of where we're at with climate change. He's just like, look, if we're going to do this, let's do this. And I totally agree. You know, if you're going to take right action, if you're going to fight climate change, just do it and figure out the best way. Like we're going to do things to fight this, you know, whether the people that say it's too late to do anything, continue to say that or not, whether they say that or not, whether people realize that or not, we're going to do things to fight this. So let's talk about what the correct things to do are. And for the most part, I think his ideas are good. From what I can tell, I need to do more research in this, but you guys can check this out and you guys can discuss this and you guys can let me know what you think about this. You know, again, I don't have any problem with, I understand, you know, we're looking at probably a blue ocean event like this year or next year. And, you know, that means very bad things, but just, you know, look, if we're going to go forward with some solutions, let's talk about it. Let's talk about what the solutions are. Let's talk about, you know, the best ways to go forward, you know, causing the least amount of damage. You know, we are going to geoengineer if we're not already doing it. Let's talk about the way, you know, ways to do that that are not totally and completely idiotic. You know, transparency and communication are key, especially right now. But anyways, this guy has interesting ideas. I'm gonna link the video. You guys can, you know, let me know what you think. And if I can get a handle or a hand or my hands is what I'm trying to say on either a copy of the book or at least some literature or some articles on this, then I will talk about them and post them because I'm interested. Also, more Yellow Vest protests happening in France. This is from Time magazine. This happened yesterday. Paris awoke to scenes of destruction on the Champs-Élysées on Sunday following another day of Yellow Vest-led protests that turned violent. Some 200 individuals are in custody. BFM TV reported, citing Paris prosecutors. About 80 shops on the French capital's iconic avenue were damaged. Several cases of arson and looting. Agence France Presse reported, citing Jean-Noël Reinhardt, president of the committee of the Champs-Élysées. Champs. It was the 18th consecutive Saturday of Yellow Vest protest. 18th consecutive Saturday of Yellow Vest protest. French President Emmanuel Macron, who cut his ski holiday short following a tour of Africa, viewed on Twitter. He's not out of touch. You know, you got to have fun if you're president, right? You know, vowed on Twitter Saturday evening that strong decisions were coming to prevent more violence. What does that mean? Macron said some individuals, dubbed black blocs by French police forces, were taking advantage of the protests by the Yellow Vest grassroots movement to damage the republic, to break and to destroy. Prime Minister Edouard Philippe said on Twitter that those who excused or encouraged such violence were complicit in it. So there you go. They're setting up the scenario for some more violence. I'm not talking about, I'm saying the government is setting up the scenario. We're gonna clamp down on this, guys. But still going. And the news is trying to say, oh, their support is waning. They're falling apart. They keep saying this every single week. They're losing ground. People are turning away from the Yellow Vests. You know, there's all that stuff that they need you to think this, right? That's their little propaganda slip-ins. Lastly, I wanted to cover in this video an article from the Huffington Post. The rapid decline of the natural world is a crisis even bigger than climate change. And this has been talked about a lot, that the loss of biodiversity, the destruction, the absolute outright destruction of nature, the effects of our civilization on nature, not just in a climate change sense, not just the mechanism of climate change, is as big of a threat, if not more. A 3-year UN-backed study from the Intergovernmental Science Policy Platform on Biodiversity and Ecosystem Services has grim implications for the future of humanity. This is from Friday. Nature is in free fall and the planet's support systems are so stretched that we face widespread species extinctions and mass human migration unless urgent action is taken. That's the warning hundreds of scientists are preparing to give, and it's stark. The last year has seen a slew of brutal and terrifying warnings about the threat climate change poses to life. Far less talked about, but just as dangerous, if not more so, is the rapid decline of the natural world. The felling of forests, the overexploitation of seas and soils, and the pollution of air and water are together driving the living world to the brink, according to a huge 3-year UN-backed landmark study to be published in May. The study from the Intergovernmental Science Policy Platform on Biodiversity and Ecosystem Services, expected to run to over 8,000 pages, is being compiled by more than 500 experts in 50 countries. It is the greatest attempt yet to assess the state of life on Earth, and will show how tens of thousands of species are at high risk of extinction, how countries are using nature at a rate that far exceeds its ability to renew itself, how nature's ability to contribute food and fresh water to a growing human population is being compromised in every region of the Earth. This I do know, whether we can make this out of this situation or not, we will not see 10 billion people on this planet, as they keep saying. Probably won't see 9, but you know, we're absolutely not. We're at the limit. We're all full. The Earth is full. You know, humans. That's what the Earth is trying to tell us. Nature underpins all economies with the free services it provides. Free, right? We take these things and we put a price on them because we can just do whatever we want. It provides in the form of clean water, air, and pollination of all major human food crops by bees and insects. In the Americas, this is said to total more than $24 trillion a year. The pollination of crops globally by bees and other animals alone is worth up to $577 billion. The final report will be handed to world leaders, not just to help politicians, businesses, and the public become more aware of the trends shaping life on Earth, but also to show them how to better protect nature. Hopefully much more than that. High-level political attention on the environment has been focused largely on climate change because energy policy is central to economic growth, but biodiversity is just as important for the future of Earth as climate change, said Sir Robert Watson, overall chair of the study, in a telephone interview from Washington, D.C. We are at a crossroads. The historic and current degradation and destruction of nature undermine human well-being for current and countless future generations, added the British-born atmospheric scientist who has led programs at NASA and was a science advisor in the Clinton administration. Land degradation, biodiversity loss, and climate change are 3 different faces of the same central challenge: the increasingly dangerous impacts of our choices on the health of our natural environment. Around the world, not just our choices, our paradigm, our thought processes, the way that we exist. It's not just all about choices. But yeah, anyways, around the world, land is being deforested, cleared, and destroyed with catastrophic implications for wildlife and people. Forests are being felled across Malaysia, Indonesia, and West Africa to give the world the palm oil we need for snacks and cosmetics. Huge swaths of Brazilian rainforests are being cleared to make way for soy plantations and cattle farms, and to feed the timber industry, a situation likely to accelerate under new leader Jair Bolsonaro, a right-wing populist. Industrial farming is to blame for much of the loss of nature, said Mark Runzevel, professor of land use change at the Karlsruhe Institute of Technology in Germany. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, who co-chaired the European section of the IPBES study. The food system is the root of the problem. The cost of ecological degradation is not. So is it the food system, or is it the fact that we need to feed 8 billion people? What's the root? What's the actual root? Or is the root that it takes fossil fuels to feed 8 billion people with the food system that we have? Got to go a little bit deeper, Mark Runzevel. The cost of ecological degradation is not considered in the price we pay for food, yet we are still subsidizing fisheries and agriculture. This destruction wrought by farming threatens the foundations of our food system. A February report from the UN warned that the loss of soil, plants, trees, and pollinators such as birds, bats, and bees undermines the world's ability to produce food. An obsession with economic growth as well as spiraling human populations is also driving this destruction. There you go. Particularly in the Americas, where GDP is expected to nearly double by 2050. I don't know where they're getting this, because that's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. And the population is expected to increase 20% to 1.2 billion over the same period. That's not going to happen. We're not going to make it there, guys. The breakdown is occurring right now. So not hitting those targets is what's going to happen. Nature is likely to be hit particularly hard over the next 30 years, said Jake Rice, chief scientist emeritus at the Canadian government's Department of Oceans and Fisheries, who co-chaired the American study. High consumption and destructive farming will further degrade land and marine ecosystems. He added, although the pace of destruction is diminishing because so much is already gone. Yeah. The great transformation has already taken place in North America, but the remote parts of South and Central America remain under threat. And what about Africa? A new wave of destruction is transforming the Amazon and Pampas region. All of this comes at a huge cost and has implications for the systems that prop up life on this planet, throwing into doubt the ability of humans to survive. And I'm going to link this article. I'm not going to read the whole thing because I just don't have time, because it's probably a few more minutes to finish this, but I will link it below and you guys can read the rest, but you get the idea. I think, that's pretty plain. Yeah, I mean, you have climate change and then you have the people that are like, it's not happening, but I don't know how you say that this isn't happening. I don't say how you don't point to yourself and to humans and say, we are the problem. This is a big problem. What are we going to do about this? What are we going to do about this? Anyways, I will link all of these things below. Thank you so much for your eyes, your ears, and your conscience. If you would like to support this channel, you can do so at the links below. Until next time, peace.